All right, so I'm Nate with Briley Manufacturing, and we're here today to show you some of the things that we've learned over the years about shotguns. Today I'm going to start with a topic that sounds boring at first, but it's really very important, and that's buttstocks. The reason why we're going to start with buttstocks is because this is a neglected area of the gun, but if you think about it, all the things that go on in shooting a shotgun originate right in this back area. Now, a lot of people don't consider this, but you need a shotgun that fits you just like you need clothing that fits you. If you want a shotgun to shoot well, it's got to fit. Your cheek rests right here on the comb, and that's your rear sight when you're looking down there, and if you don't have that in the right place, then you're not going to hit anything. Sometimes, if this isn't set right, you'll feel recoil harder than you should, or you'll have trouble holding on to the gun. So let's get started in what a buttstock is, what it does, and how to talk to your gunsmith about it. So whenever you're working with a firearm, one of the first things that you should always do is make sure that the gun is unloaded. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get in here and we're going to show you what these measurements are and how to check them. And then we're going to talk a little bit about things you can do to make this gun fit you better and feel better when you're shooting, so it can give you a better shooting experience. Here at Briley, we measure pitch the English way. What we'll do is we'll start with our length behind stick. We'll get this on the trigger, and then we'll measure it right here at the top. At the longest area, we call that the bump. And we'll get this measurement right here. And then we'll come in and we'll measure it right behind the trigger, sort of at a 90 degree to your trigger. That'll give us the overall length of pull. And then we're going to go down here and we will measure your length right there at the toe, just like that. Now these three measurements, they do two things. They tell us exactly what your length of pull is, and they'll tell us what your pitch is, English style. So if you want to measure your pitch American style, we'll show you how to do that here in just a minute. So let's show you how we measure pitch the American way. The first thing we're going to do is take this really high-tech tool that I made here at Briley when I started about 20 years ago. Haven't really needed to update it yet because it's excellent for what I designed it for. And we're going to lay this flat across the butt of your gun here so that we've got this surface, and then we're going to lay that right on top of the receiver so that we can get these two measurements or these two places, and then we're going to go down here and we're going to take a measurement at the end of your gun so that we can tell you how many inches of pitch you have. Alright, so we're back here with our high-tech tool that we made, like I said, 20 years ago, so that we can get this. What we'll do to take this measurement is when you get your gun and you want to measure your drop, there's three places you want to measure. First you want to measure right back here at the heel. This one's 2 inches. And then some gunsmiths say that this is the only place that you need to measure and that it's the most important. And that's right here at the face. This one's just about 1 3/4 inches, and then we'll come along here and get that measurement right at the beginning of the comb, and it's just below 2 3/4 inches, and that's how we measure drop. So after we've flattened that and we've got that right where we want it, we're going to take our little ruler right here and we're going to measure how far the barrels are off this plane that the aluminum is, and that's 1 1/4 inches. So we know this gun has 1 1/4 inches of pitch measured the American way. Once you understand a little bit about what the measurements on your shotgun are, and you've spent a little time with, say, a coach or a gun fitter, and you find the measurements that you need, then you bring them to somebody like us, and we work with you in giving you what you want, whether or not it's bending the stock, or changing your recoil pad, or changing your pitch. Those are the sort of things that we'll do here. Now, some of that might seem like strange vocabulary to you, and that's one of the things that I want to talk about today, is what all of these measurements are and how they affect you. We've shown you a little bit about how to take them, but let's talk a little bit about what they are. So most of you probably know that you have a length of pull here. That's from your trigger to the center of your pad. That's a very important measurement, because if it's too long, it will beat you up, and if it's too short, it will really hurt you. So you need that to be just about right so that you can have a good, comfortable shooting experience. And once you've got that finished up, or once you know what it is that you want, you either want to put a recoil pad or something on the end of your stock to protect your wood and to keep it from breaking, and also to make the gun more comfortable to shoot. Some of the options that we have here at Briley for recoil absorption would be things like this. These are the two most popular recoil pads on the market. This is the Kickies, and this is a Packmeyer decelerator. Once you know your length of pull and your pitch, you bring it in here, you take a look at both these kinds of pads, and you say, these are pretty good. I think I'll choose one or the other of these. If you want to take it up just a little bit higher, we could put a leather covered pad on for you. Here at Briley, we do a leather covered pad that's exactly the way that the English used to do it 100 years ago. So if you're interested in something classic and timeless, then you want to get something like this. Also, if you find that the gun that you've got is just a little too short, we can add a pad and spacers. That'll make it a little bit longer. Or if you need some pitch adjustment, you can put in a pitch spacer like this. This will give you a chance to either take it out here or here, so this gun will fit you better. Sometimes you can get pads like this put on. This is simply a piece of wood that's been checkered. These are pretty popular with a lot of European guns and some English guns. We can get that done for you too. Once you've got the back end where you want it to be, then you need to start thinking about where your face is on the shotgun. Now, fortunately, most stocks can be bent a little up and down and a lot one direction or the other. So if you're left-handed, we can bend that for you so that you can move the stock to cast on. If you're right-handed and you've got a chubby face, we can move it over more for you so that you can get a little more cast off. Either way, we can get you right down on that bead. That'll make that more comfortable for you and a lot easier for you to hit your birds. Sporting guns come in a lot of different shapes and sizes, particularly the buttstocks. And one of the things you might notice about a gun like this one's English, and you know it's English just by the maker and some of the lines about it. Sometime later I'll tell you more about that. But this one's English, and it has a classic English stock. You see it's very narrow, and it's very straight, and it's slim. The comb, you can see it right here, it's very nice and slim and straight. And you'll find that these are very easy to mount in a hurry, and they're great for shooting animals that are flying, or rabbits, that sort of thing. But a lot of people shooting modern clays, they don't like this as much. They prefer a little meat on their stock and a slightly more substantial feeling gun. So let's take a look at a modern clay shooting gun. Here's a Browning Satori. Love these guns, fantastic guns, great. But if you'll notice already there's a substantial more amount of wood through here. Of course, this makes them a little harder to bend, so if you're going to tell me that you need 3/4 of an inch cast off, I'm going to have a much harder time getting that for you, but we'll see what we can do to get you there. Hopefully the wood will let us. But you'll notice right away the comb on this is substantially wider and broader, and the dimensions are necessarily going to be different. Let me just give you one example of where you definitely need a different dimension. You'll notice this gun has one trigger, and the gun that we had before had two. When you've got a straight stock and a single trigger, you always want your gun to be about a 1/2 inch longer in length of pull than you do with a gun that's got a single trigger. So you want to keep that in mind when you're adjusting the length of pull. If you're used to shooting sporting guns like this, and you go out to do some vintage shooting, you buy yourself a little English side-by-side, you want new pad put on it, your length of pull, you want to be sure to get that gun 1/2 inch longer than you normally order it. If you're usually shooting an English gun like this and you want to switch to a gun like this, take a 1/2 inch off your length of pull and you'll feel a lot more comfortable with it. Alright, so today we've covered a little bit about pads, pitch and drop, a little bit about how gun fit is important and why. Hopefully that'll give you a chance to talk to your gunsmith or your gun fitter and make your shooting experience better. At Briley, we always like to help you out with that. And thanks a lot for joining us.